I'm that Nigerian prince that keeps emailing you. Last week, we covered the top 10 Championship Day moments. Pretty exciting. This week, we're going to be taking a step away from Championship Day, which you should not do, by covering the top 10 most memorable shows. These are shows that are just like, whoa, these are high schoolers? This is crazy! They were just great, they were amazing, they were fantastic, not including shows that happened in Championship Day. We're getting a whole bunch of other lists for that. So, without further ado, here are the top 10 most memorable shows.
Sir. Yeah.
Kane is in the building.
Yeah! Already the show goes on all night. Till the morning we dream so long. Anybody ever wonder?
This was a quarterfinal playoff show that I think had the most hype going into this round of the playoffs.
That one was probably, like you said, the hypest show that we had that season.
You had a good Palo Verde team, and you had a weirdly out of nowhere good Des Oasis team.
One of my favorite things about Jesters was just all the cool people you meet, and that's specifically what you see with Palo Verde, is just all these really sweet and kind and nice and funny and just really talented people.
It was probably the most competitive one because us and Palo had a very competitive team against each other. Even though we all liked each other, we knew that one of us has to go down.
I think that Chase and Ari always give me a run for my money. Cash money.
It was a pretty neck-and-neck show. The thing that stands out to me the most is a game of What Are You Doing? With the round was Freddie and Davia. You're talking MVP nominated one and done Freddie against Davia, who at the time was a sophomore.
They're made up of such incredibly funny people, and it was a really fun time, regardless of the fact that, it's a league and it's a competition.
That was an awesome show. Palo was able to sustain the whole show the best. Palo got the win, ended up going on to the championship and winning. But that was a show, man, that we talked about. There wasn't a point in this show, where I was like, Arborview's got it, Cimarron's got it. There wasn't even a moment.
I don't know, I think I had my face covered for a lot of it because I was just dying of nerves, but that was honestly, one of the best shows I've ever seen that wasn't a championship show.
To be honest, we should have lost. I'll say that now, we should have lost. I give them so much props. I don't know how we won.
Well, we definitely deserved the L we took for that show because they did so good. Desmond might tell you differently, but that's not the truth.
We've accepted their energy, and we've grown off their energy, and yeah, it was just amazing.
We sat there for 3 weeks, literally learning how they worked and their dynamics, so we could bring the same energy back at them on stage.
Arborview as a team, it was hard to beat that team chemistry they had. They really flowed together. And Cimarron, just as performers, they brought it. And flip a coin. You literally could have flipped a coin, and if Arborview would have won that show and moved on to the next round, it would have been just as good.
I mean, everyone left it out on the stage that day, and it's terrible that one team has to go, but when both teams play that hard, you can't be anything but proud of yourself either.
Have you ever had the feeling that you was being had? Don't that shit that make you mad? They treat you like a slave, put chains all on your soul. And
you've got a technically perfect Chaparral team that just were beating teams in the playoffs on this weird, technical standpoint. They were just doing everything right. And then you had Green Valley riding a high of beating the defending champs.
We just beat Acta, great team, fantastic team, and we're kind of getting amped up. We're choosing games, getting ready, we're trying to pick our final team.
I think we were so fired up. It was Green Valley, we were so excited, but we were I remember just being so fired up about beating this team because we knew how great they were.
It was just so much energy and so much fun because we didn't care, we were just having a blast. It was the greatest show.
I just remember how surreal it was
like the fact that we had made it that far, like again, and this was like our chance to finally like push through and to get into like the championships.
I remember a game that Chaparral played of deleted scenes, and it's the best deleted scenes I may have ever seen. We never even needed to get to the actual deleted scenes part. Like Cassie and Danette held down some scene work that was like, man, I could watch this all day. And then you had Green Valley just doing what they did against East Tech and just swinging their fists. And Green Valley lost by 1. I know Green Valley wanted it bad, but man, Shap just had to do what they do and do what they did that whole year. Just play it right. That was a great show.
If I don't switch up, I just laugh. Put my kicks up on they desk, unaffected by they threats. Then get busy on they. See, that's how that shit tell me.
I don't think anybody thought we could win that show. I think nobody thought it was possible for us to beat them, especially after Cimarron had just taken out Palo.
Two teams wanting it bad, like concert feel, like audiences yelling at the stage, like this was that Cimarron Bonanza show.
We're talking about JJ and Desi together, like such a good combo, such a good team.
I do remember just being super psyched out and thinking that Cimarron had us. I remember, what was his name, JJ? He was giving us a run for our money for sure, and it was that was definitely like the most memorable moment of the Cimarron show.
I just knew that it would be a game of making as few mistakes as possible. I knew that our team was funny enough that we would be good, and I just trained us in scene work and pummeled it as hard as we possibly could to get it down. And man, I mean, those kids did me proud. They didn't make a single mistake in that entire show.
That was fun. It was just the energy of that show, and us losing, it really helped us for next year. And I don't know, every time we're in the playoff show, I feel like it's one of our best.
It was just a true underdog story, a true underdog run, and the kids, I mean, I knew that we could pull it out, and I think the Bonanza team knew it too, and when we did, it was so awesome.
If you are my homeboy, you never have to pay me. Go and put your hands up. When times is hard, you stand up. LUP the man, cause a brand.
Bonanza against Northwest show, in my opinion, should have been the championship show.
It was MVP Duke in his prime against just fast talking, aggressive strong Royce.
It came down to the wire. We're talking about Duke and Audrey. They were the ones to beat. We had 2 MVPs on one team.
I knew it was going to be tough because they were a solid squad. They worked really well together. They busted out a Dime Store novel, which I honestly, I don't know, that was amazing. And I was definitely sweating at that point.
That was a heated show, but my trusty coach, who will go unnamed this time, he pulled out that secret technique, that ultimate jutsu, which is Dime Store novel.
Dime Store novel.
Dime Store novel. And they killed it so hard with how well they set up the scene, did all of that stuff, that after the show was over, Duke came up to me and was like, dude, when I saw you guys do Dime Store novel, I thought we were done. I thought that you won.
Yeah, I remember that being a super close game. Nobody was really sure who was going to win. And we were all just sitting on the edge of the stage and waiting for Kopi to release the results.
What else can you say? Everybody left their heart out on the field. There wasn't a dry eye in the teams afterwards. I mean, we gave it our all.
The show goes on all night till the morning. We dream so long. Anybody ever wonder when they were seeing?
That show was just kind of a fight. It felt like a fight more than any other show that we did this year. It felt kind of like a dogfight. Like it was kind of like last one standing.
They're throwing everything they got in a show, and that's exactly what Basic did. And by everything I mean like big Jacob Henderson, like literally was thrown around that stage. Like they gave everything they had.
We saw them do Parallel Universe, and all 4 of us on stage were just seething in jealousy that they had like this awesome game with a gimmick that wasn't overpowering, that could really showcase like their scene ability. And ever since that day, we're like, we want to play Parallel Universe. We want to steal Parallel Universe from Basic. It was so good.
One of the very last games was What Else You Got, and that's like what happened. It was like nobody would get out, and What Else You Got, everybody that went up there just kept going and going and had another thing and another thing and another thing, and I think Kobe all 4 rounds of that game had to just end it. But that's what it felt like. Both teams wanted it so badly, nobody was going to be eliminated in that game.
They were just going out of the box, they were just doing everything right, and I think we ended up losing by like 10 points, but that was just a great show. Everyone was feeding off each other's energy. There was no like hostility. Everyone was working together. So I think at the end of the day, that's a show that I really admire. I wish I could have been a part of it.
Was the championship show amazing? Yes. Would it have been equally as amazing if Basic was in there with Paolo? I think so. This was the closest to that dream matchup happening where it just wasn't, the primes didn't match up. The 2012 Paolo team in their prime. The 2012 CTA team were just figuring out that they were going to be amazing.
I'm definitely nervous for we kind of saw what we were up against. We're just like, there's no way we can win. It's like in the movie 300, like, this is our final stand. We are gonna probably die here.
I was a freshman. I was scared out of my wits going against these guys who were taller and honestly funnier, and it felt like you have to climb this mountain. You have to beat these Paolo boys.
I remember that was like the first time I felt nervous all year. I was just like, these guys are like really good. These guys just stood out. Braden and Cameron had this chemistry, and Omri was so great on the team. They had like the same level of friendship that we had. And so I was just like, oh, these guys are gonna be gelling.
That were younger than us, and newer than us, but they stood like toe-to-toe with us for sure. And it was really cool to see, oh, this is gonna keep continuing, and there's gonna keep continuing to be like incredible teams that are gonna compete, even once we were gonna move on. And it has.
At the end of that show, I remember saying to the audience, watch out, CTA is gonna be the next Paolo team.
It was actually that show that made me want to start doing Jesters. That show was just so crazy. Both of the teams had such like high energy and such like silliness that it was just laughter from the moment it started and then tears from the moment it was over.
2 in the air for the father that's there, 3 in the air for the kids in the ghetto, 4 for the kids that don't want to be there, none for the trying to hold him back, 5 in the air for the teacher not scared to tell those kids that's living in the ghetto.
I knew the team in the West to beat was Cimarron.
Paolo, we know, went out of the championship and were the defending champs, but that didn't face Cimarron at all.
They had this guy named Des Murphy, and I love this kid. I love everything about this kid.
We really wanted to beat them, and not to have, not to just beat them, but just to have so much fun with them, because we know that they were a really competitive team.
I think that was a good show because we genuinely like were all friends. Like me and Des, like we were friends. So it's like there wasn't any like to me it wasn't, ooh, I'm gonna beat you. It was like, let's have fun and make a good show. And then also because I love Michael Kim.
So Cimarron and Palo Verde played earlier in the year in a regular season show, and I remember before the show, I had to stop the teams and give them like a pep talk and tell them to calm down.
Even earlier in the year, we played Cimarron at Cimarron, and Cimarron beat us, so we knew that was a team to beat. But you want to talk about like inches, points, like great team, great coach. We loved that show.
I remember Coach Adam telling me like he totally would have accepted the loss in that show because of how good Cimarron was. I remember Cimarron making a gutsy call, playing a performer that had only been in one show that year. And it was the right call.
We were watching film about them, and we had 2 rehearsals. And yeah, so we just really wanted to be successful in this and go to the championship and win it for my last year, Mr. Kim's last year, and Spencer's last year.
I was once that little boy, terrified of the world. Now I'm on a world tour. I will give up everything, even start a world war for these.
That's the one that hurts the most. I still wake up in cold sweats in the middle of the night, and how could we have won this?
We had been kicked out of championships for 3 years in a row by East Tech.
and it was painful. It hurt every time, and the more it happened, the more it hurt. So we had a vendetta. We love East Tech, love you guys, but we were furious.
ECTA, they are probably, at the time, they were probably, from my knowledge, one of the best teams. They were hilarious. They had just all the great qualities of an improv team, and they were going to like win it. It was them and Palo Verde always.
But here's what's interesting. We were ready to challenge them at to do rap, I believe it was. Or I think Green Valley was going to challenge us to do rap, and the boys had played it 3 games in a row, and they were like, we really don't want to play it. Let's play 9 out of 10. And they ended up switching to 9 out of 10, and that's the game that Green Valley dominated, like pure dominated.
Out of the gate, first game of the show, 9 out of 10, Green Valley almost destroys East Tech. I'm reffing this game, and I'm calling the calls, and I'm literally like befuddled. Like I'm literally just taken back. Like, what just happened? Green Valley wanted blood.
And so winning by the skin of our teeth, it felt so great because it felt like we were actually achieving something. It was extraordinary. I don't know if I've ever felt such excitement.
It's really hard for a team to win again, and that's what happened. And in that particular moment, it was Green Valley's moment. Green Valley did it.
To this day, we joke, I have lunch with those boys, and they'll say 9 out of 10, and I'll be like, 9 out of 10.
And that was a good show. I remember that. Yeah, those are pretty good. It's like they're so good, I want to see them again. So, without further ado, there's a recap number 10 and 2.
So no matter what you've been through, no matter what you into, no matter what you see, when you look outside your window, brown grass or green grass, picket fence or barbed wire, never ever put them down. You just lift your arms higher, raise them till your arms tired, let them know you there, that you struggling, surviving, that you gon' persevere. Yeah, ain't nobody leaving, nobody going home, even if they turn the lights out, the show is going on. Alright, the show goes on all night till the morning. We dream so strong. Anybody ever wonder when they will see the sun up? Just remember when you come up, the show goes on. Alright, already the show goes on all night till the morning. We dream so long. Anybody ever wonder when they will see the sun up? Just remember when you come up, the show.
The best show in Jesters history is not a championship show. A lot of them are. This list excluded championship shows, but better than all of those championship shows is the 2015 East Tech boys against the Liblo Foot Valley Academy team.
But there's a certain amount of things that you can almost feel are going to be big before you go into a show. We had been interacting before the official playoffs, and just everything that we had done together was great. We loved each other, and so going into that, a lot of us could already feel that this was going to be really good because of the 2 teams that were up against each other, and what we already knew we could do with each other, where we could push each other.
I remember the excitement, I remember the nerves, I remember the championship show feel that show had.
That was a game that I think we all couldn't wait to see, and it totally delivered, because there's very few games or shows that come to mind for me that encapsulated as much just pure hilarity as that specific show.
Excluding the people on my team, the #1 person that I enjoyed being on stage with was Cameron. He and I shared a chemistry, I'd like to think, that really popped us on stage, and I had a blast. Not just, I felt like we were delivering to the audience, but I was having a great time as well, trying to contain my laughter. And Cameron, if you see this, we gotta do another show sometime for old time's sake.
I remember being in the middle of that show thinking, it's seesawing, it's going back and forth. Oh man, East Tech's got it, oh man, Liblo's got it. There wasn't a flaw in that show.
Liblo, yeah, they came in and they brought it, and everything that we wanted to play, they were right there, and I just remember it being neck and neck. And that was one of the toughest losses because I thought we were going to have it that year.
As coaches, we try to get our teams to the point where we can get to where they were that year.
I actually missed that one. I'm sorry, Cody. Unfortunately, that concludes all the time we have for today on today's Jesters video. Please tune in next Monday. We're going to be covering the best teams. This is not underrated teams, the best duos. This is best teams in general in the whole league. It's going to be great. It's going to be amazing. So, remember, Stanley Jester makes your home master.